Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the single player Let's Play series. So, today I think we're going to be getting into a whole bunch of fun stuff when it comes to some building design. And I also wanted to get into a little bit of ore crushing processing automation because if you'll remember a couple episodes back, we automatically crush our ores. You can see we've got tons of crushed zinc. If I search $dust, you can see here we have a ton of dust from ores that I've been acquiring and dropping into the system and having them auto crushed, but unfortunately they're not being auto smelted. So that is a piece or a component that we haven't gotten to yet that I would like to get automated. And then I'd also like to get into a couple of things that I can clean up that we've kind of gotten to a point where we can use a little bit more or a little bit differently. I'd like to clean up our pressure generation system because I found that my suit and specifically my drill doesn't really keep up too very well with this system. The system doesn't really bounce back very quickly. So if there's a huge drop in pressure in any of my suit, it takes a little while for it to clean everything up from there and recover. So I'd like to find a better way of handling that. And then I would love to redesign this building. I think I talked about this a lot last time, but this building kind of irks me a lot now. So I think we're going to go ahead and take care of this first. So this one's going to be pretty easy. I have a couple of really cool ideas of kind of setting this up more like a transformer station rather than this kind of, mysterious brick building that almost looks more like a firehouse. So we'll see. I mean, it's not that I didn't like the style of this. It's just it was much easier when it was smaller, but now that it is as big as it is, and has its own diesel engine inside, it doesn't really make sense anymore, and I don't really love the design of it in such a strange context. I am going to go ahead and take advantage of the vein mining effect of the drill here. You can see I used a couple of mixed kinds of copper slab just because it's cheaper and it's what I had around that was already oxidized. I do need to set up an oxidation station for this. I believe there's a quicker way to oxidize, but maybe there's not. Maybe there's not. Redstone etching acid would work. We could do this. This wouldn't be terribly unreasonable to set up. So yeah, we may end up doing something like that at some point. I think that would be fun because I really prefer the look of oxidized or completely unoxidized. The two phases in between the completely unoxidized and the completely oxidized copper aren't really my thing, but I don't mind the full-on orange, and I certainly don't mind the nice tealy cyan colors that you get out of the oxidized copper as well. So I'm kind of neither here nor there on that matter. Just kind of things that I've been thinking on a lot lately as I make some of my latest building design and choices. So the build design that I'm going to be going with here will be a little bit different. What I'm going to do, let's go ahead and put you in vein mine mode as well. And I don't think I'm going to need that at all. What I'm going to do is we're going to go with like a standard transformer station style. So there's going to be, there are these really cool fences that I think I started to try to use a little bit in a stream a while ago. And I need to teach my system how to make iron rods rather. I think it already knows how to make them, but it would be great if you could make like a bunch all at once right now, because I've got a lot that we're going to be using them for. So yeah, for right now, I think we're going to be going through a lot of our system and kind of cleaning it up. These alternators don't in real life, an alternator does not produce any exhaust, so I'm going to disconnect them and move them out of sight a little bit. That way, that kind of helps with the appearance. I don't tend to like to do that all that often, but in this case, it does make sense, and it also gives me back a large amount of space. Let me go and get some dirt acquired. And really quickly, I haven't released a pack update yet in a little while. I've been pretty busy in real life with some other stuff and just kind of trying to take a little bit of a break from all the pack updates. But I have fixed, apparently it was a problem in my code when I made it so that the pyrolyzer creates the immersive creosote. In doing that, I used a Cube.js function that allows you to pass in a tag, but for some reason, dark oak was the only thing that it accepted from that tag. So I've switched everything over to birch again because the dark oak was littering like crazy, and I'm so glad that it looks so much better now because it was an outstanding mess without that fix. So anyways, we can go ahead and start to cover things up a little bit here with some dirt. I'm going to leave this top layer pretty open because it's not going to need to be modified that much. And right now we're just going to lean on our accumulators to run our system for a little bit. I think it'll be just fine. And so what I have in mind is the following. We can do a couple of different things. First of all, I think the easiest thing to do here is to maybe get like a ladder or probably a ladder and then just make a room underneath. So let me see if I can get some more cut tough because I do like this stuff a lot. It looks a lot like concrete from Immersive, but it's significantly cheaper. And I don't know, easier to get in, easier to amass, in my opinion. And I'm wondering if this is going to be, I don't think this is going to be too close. So here was my idea of sorts. And we will do some fun stuff with that. I'm probably going to move this accumulator. But I would love it to have a 2-block perimeter around it of cut tough, like so. And then that last block on the end there will be occupied by these really cool steel mesh fences. I love these. They are so cool. They don't really connect like normal fences, which is the only kind of frustrating thing about them, is they definitely don't act as one would expect them to do either. But aside from that, they are actually pretty outstanding, and I am a very big fan. So let me get some more of these thin metal pieces, and then we can get some more of the fencing. And I'm thinking I'm going to build this up pretty dang high, because I don't want it to be easily accessible by any means, because, you know, why would you? This is not how it should be done. And then let me see if the building gadget can help out here. I have no idea if it'll have any idea how to place these. But I guess we'll just kind of give it a try. Yeah, it had no clue what to do. But updating the last one at least helped. So I could do that. That wouldn't be too terrible to have to do. And then just bonk. Oh, actually that does not fix it. Okay. Interesting. Well, let me get this little perimeter thingy put up a little bit. And this might be a little too high. Maybe we just do it down to here. Okay, so now comes the somewhat tricky part. This is the only thing that I'm kind of concerned about, is just that this may take too long to set up. But let's go ahead and get some biodiesel in a bucket again. You probably know where this is going. I'm going to move these capacitors because I don't like where they are located. And with that being said, I also am going to put a lever down. Whoops, right here. And shut that system off for a little bit. I've created this downstairs area here with our alternator slapped up against the wall. Behind there are some mechanical belts that you can kind of vaguely see. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a slightly different setup, as mentioned. So we're going to move... there's still a cable there. Yes, I was correct about that much at least. We're going to move these capacitors, these accumulators. So we're going to put this one here for sure. And that's going to drain everything out into our system. And then we're going to put another 2 in here. So we're going to have pretty much the same setup as before. We're going to have these 2 here. We will have an advanced energy pipe that goes straight down, right? And then what we can do at this point is make sure that you are set up to output on that side. Perfect. And then we can grab this little setup here and recreate it to some degree. So what we'll do is we'll get another one of we'll get the redstone probe connector here. And once this starts to run low, we will start to report that to the rest of our technology around here. So already you can see what a difference that makes just in the outside appearance. And what I'm probably going to do is I'm probably going to rely on HV cables again, since I won't need to be around here anymore. So we will do something like, well, I forgot about needing a relay, actually. And that does not bode well. So we can do probably something really goofy looking like that. I do suppose that that will work, right? Hopefully. Yes, that seems to be working just fine. And we'll just have to try to avoid this space like we were before. And we can do stuff like this to kind of cut us off from this area as much as possible, at least because that would be a very bad time. I got the steel mesh doors installed as well, and they are doing a very good job. Actually, that's really satisfying. I like that. So these are the doors. They look really cool, and they work really nicely. And so now we are currently losing power. We're hemorrhaging power to some degree even. But I'm going to put an input there, and what we'll do is run our line of advanced energy pipes down and over. So hopefully you are not storing. This alternator is storing still. There we go. Some of these alternators don't drain immediately, which is just like a bit of oddness more than anything. And actually, you can go into the second capacitor, I suppose. But that begs the question then, do we want to read off of the second capacitor or do we want to read off of this one? Maybe, actually we have the space in here as well. The main reason that I moved off of the HV wire coils is just that they were so dangerous to be around all the time that it was such a pain to do anything. But we might actually have more than ample space here to do some more with it. So maybe we do actually, and I think MB might be good enough here too. This is not a question for me. I don't know. The chaining here is going to be the biggest annoyance more than anything else. The different tiers, they don't connect, right? Okay, well that's sort of a solution. Let's just do that. I just didn't like how they visually connected. So let's make sure all of these are draining. Looks like they are. Okay, good. So now if we head up, I guess here's still technically, right? Let's grab our screwdriver from Immersive, and what we'll do is we will configure this guy to send a signal with a threshold of 14. So when this is less than 14, it should try to emit, and we will just do a signal that goes across the room just because it looks cool. I think these things are super nice. And I want to test this and see if I put you there. And, well, you're probably going to need to be an input, and then we would have to do like a feed-through insulator. Oh, I actually can't configure this now that I have. Interesting. Okay, well, that will be a problem. Not a big problem, but definitely something that can't be easily fixed. So why don't we get a piece of... Actually, we can just do this. If we do that, we put you here on the diesel, and then we do you here with a redstone wire coil, and we tell you to output. You're not really outputting. Well, what did I do differently here? Right, yes. So let's emit a redstone signal when it gets to 14. There's actually nothing wrong here. I just forgot how this worked. And then over here, we will receive that redstone signal. To turn off whenever this guy is pretty much full. Yep, there we go. So that's the exact same setup we had before, just a little bit cleaner, and I like that. Let me make sure it is not too dark in here. Looks like it is not. Okay, good. Yeah, this looks way better than it did before. All of our accumulators are doing, or our alternators are doing their work. How are we doing down here? We're doing good there. Okay, interesting. I really thought that this would have taken longer, but the diesel generator kept things running while all the alternators were down, which is lovely to see. So I guess that kind of helped prevent any major problems here, which makes me very happy to see. I was not sure how it was going to handle that at all, but clearly it did a pretty good job. So anyways, that's our new generator setup. I think this looks a lot more fitting of like, I don't know what I expect when I think of something like this. So let me know what you think. I think it looks pretty okay. Might could use a couple more layers of the, or at least one more layer of these bars here, but I'm not super sure yet. I think maybe one more layer could be easy enough to do if we wanted to do. I found the easiest way to place these down is to just place them against this kind of thick corner bracket here. But I think maybe just one more layer will help a lot. And then once we do that, we should be good to go. Yeah, you can see the hitboxes here along this axis are like super duper small. It's almost completely unusable on that side, which, I mean, it's at least an accurate hitbox, so I cannot fault anyone for it. Yeah, that feels a lot better having it just a little bit bigger. I'd love to do like barbed wire or what is it? The wired fence. Like these would be cool to use, but I don't think that this is big enough. And also there's not a security issue here that I'm trying to address. It's just a dangerous room that I don't want people randomly walking around in. So yeah, I don't think this really needs to any more to be said there except for that. My only concern is that I'm a klutz and would accidentally walk into that at any moment. But yeah, I think this turned out pretty dang good. Let me know what you think, of course, in the comments. But yeah, so now that we've got that done, I do want to get the second part, or there's actually kind of three things that I want to do. But the biggest thing that I want to do that's even bigger than that rebuild, which was still quite a bit of work. Oh, you know, I'd love to find a place to put these electrical hazards that doesn't look weird. Yeah, see, like this is just going to make them hang up. I'll figure that out for sure. I definitely feel like they can at least go... Nope, that's not even a full block either, is it? Huh. I'll have to figure that out. I will have to figure that out, because that's going to be... I don't know. These signs I've really been taking advantage of in this series, and I'm so happy that I have, because they look really good. I kind of really like that style that I've picked up with the sort of minor decorations that I usually do. I've been doing a lot of like different building styles lately, and I think that one's currently my favorite as far as the industrial look goes. Anyways, we're going to come right over here for part 2 of this episode, for the other part of this episode rather, and we're going to replace this system. I mentioned earlier that this system does not keep up very well, so I want to get into liquid compressors. I've already got one. I've already been playing with these a little bit, but they are really good. And if you get a couple of security upgrades for them, which we are going to do, then that kind of prevents any of the major issues you may ever run into with them. So let's go ahead and get a couple of these security valves. I want to get maybe like 40 compressed iron, and that way it'll be a little bit easier. You can see here kind of how they work, though. They produce heat, but they also do a very good job in producing pressure as well. You good in here? What's going on? What is happening? Ah, there was just a lot of items. Makes sense. Cool. So now if we do the little safety valve, let's do 5 compressors, 5 fluid compressors. And so now we can easily do that. Whoops, oh well, that's fine. And so the liquid compressors are made using the air compressors, if I remember correctly, right? Yes, so we will get a couple more of these as well. I really should teach a lot of this stuff to the auto crafting setup, but a lot of it's already kind of in there, and it's just sub auto crafting that I got to do, and I don't really feel like doing that all the time. So let's grab 3 of these. I guess we'll go ahead and do 6 then, since we've got the extra stuff, right? May as well. And so we'll do 5 more, and we'll need a bunch of tanks. Come on. There we go. We can grab, come there. Yep, there we go. We'll go ahead and grab a good bit of extra glass here because we're going to definitely need that. And there we go. And so now we should be good to make the basic liquid compressor once I make some more tube. Do these have something in them? I wonder why they're not functioning, but maybe they'll just deal with it. Yep, looks like they will. And then we'll turn them into advanced just by doing that. Wow, I'm already out of compressed iron. Cool. Okay, so I think we've got everything we're going to need. We've also got a bunch of speed upgrades that we're going to use here. I don't know how we're going to distribute them necessarily. We will figure that part out. And we should already have our dimensional tank. We'll need, of course, a pipe. So let's pick up some of these. Advanced fluid pipes, I guess, might work. And my only question left is tubes. Do you connect on all sides? You do. Okay, so that makes this setup way more compact than this nonsense. So let's go ahead and disconnect all of this, just like so. We will be back for a lot of it for sure, though, to kind of clean up that remaining bit over there, because there is a lot to do for sure. And then what we can do is get rid of this and keep this super, super clean. And I'm trying to figure out what my best route here would be. I mean, we could probably just do this back here in the corner, which would be way nicer. There we go. And I know I've got this little door here. I'm not really too terribly worried about that. So let's go ahead and put our security modules in these, because that is definitely one of the biggest, most important factors here. And then what we can do is I want to have a module reader, and I also would love to have a way to like actually use it, but we'll see. I don't really know what I could do here to make this kind of work and be clean and logical. That is a question indeed. Let's go ahead with the fluid piping underneath. That is definitely going to be necessary. So what we can do, again, I really wish that I could make this look better, but it's all right. It's not that big of a deal. And we'll have these come down into our tank in the middle. Like so. We'll go ahead and grab the attachments we're going to need. I'll go grab 2 of these nice ones. And if I put you... Where'd you go? Oh, did I just put the tank away? I did. Wow. Put you there. Put the attachment down. Whoops. Nope, not that. There and there. And so now these are just going to run. Our biodiesel is completely drained out right now, which is to be expected, honestly. And so these are all just going to kind of do their thing. Unfortunately, I do need to get them wired up to shut themselves off a little bit rather than wasting our biodiesel. And so that is still left to be determined on how I'm going to do that. I think the easiest way to do it would be to put this here with a bunch of redstone links. I don't love this approach. It is pretty crude. But it also just kind of works, so I can't really complain. Let's grab some logs, and let's grab an axe, because you know how that works. I've not gotten any axe stripping automatically set up yet, and I've really been slacking on that end. But we can at least get ourselves a handful of brass casings here. Whoops, I keep on selecting the fireworks. Not a very effective tool for this. Let's grab 7 of these. Well, hang on. It makes 2 per, so we'll really only need that. And then what I think I could do is either go around back or front. I might go around back. Looking at this, I'm probably going to go around the back here. And then I don't know if these are going to emit a strong connection or not. So I guess that's also left to be determined. And we could actually get rid of this. Now that I look back here, I realize that I've got tubing back here that I could use just as easily. So we'll do, of course, the same system. I want everything to turn off at 19.5 bar. We're going to tell you to emit. Let's grab tube to use as our key here, like so. And then we're going to find out if these emit a redstone signal through a block. I don't have any idea. And you might actually be a problem there now that I think about it. Perhaps if I put you here, it'd be really the best. You there with your module expansion card, 19.555, there, 5 bar. And then we'll put you there with the tubies in there. And then if I do a bunch of these here, I can test this really quickly at least, which is nice. How are we doing on pressure? 12.5, 12.6, okay. And I did not put speed upgrades in these yet because I wanted to get this set up first because it is very dangerous not to do this in this order. So now I want to just test this really quickly. If I put you here, and of course I'm going to need to tell all of these on low signal, right? So I only want them to work when there's no redstone signal, and then when there is a redstone signal, stop working. I'm curious to see how our biodiesel production is keeping up here. Looks like we're all full on most of these except for this guy right here. That's pretty outstanding. I hope we're actually keeping up though. If we're not, that's fine, but that also means that our engine is not going to either. So regardless, let us do the following. Get on out of here with that. We'll do those there. Again, more tubage. Could probably just do a redstone repeater for this to be real, but it's a lot of effort. And then for this, I might just make a flux point. I don't usually do these, but it might just be the easiest solution, to be honest. Let me see. Yeah, that shouldn't be too hard. Good. So if I make one of these, we can just tap this into our flux network. Realistically, I should probably just turn on wireless charging. So let's just do that, I guess, right? We'll just use wireless charging from Flux Networks rather than from this mod. And then we can just break this and we won't actually end up needing it at all because you're not going to have to do any of the charging anymore. But if I turn this redstone signal on and set all of you to receive, yeah, we're probably going to have to get rid of this door. Not that I'm really worried about it. Does that mean that you have all stopped? Warnings, redstone setting, redstone setting, redstone setting. Perfect. Perfect. So once this gets high enough, assuming we don't have any major draw, we should be good. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I can reclaim a lot of my cable here in just a moment as well, a lot of my piping. But I think that should do it. Ultimately, it's really hard to tell if anything major is going on here, but it's not. It's all really, really clean and really, really good. I'm really thrilled. So I'd love if I had a way to run this, but I really don't, do I? So I may just have to have another line that goes... What if we went below ground, actually? What if we dropped you down another block? I'm fine with replacing these. I don't think they're really going to need anything too fast anyways. I think I was definitely overcompensating there. So let's grab the at refined pipes. Let's grab these really basic attachments and these really basic pipes. And then we can really, really cheapify this, but that's not, again, not a bad thing at all in my opinion. Whoops, did not mean to do it like that. I wonder if telling you to auto-eject will auto-eject. No, it does not. Okay. Well, that's acceptable, honestly. So I'll tell these connectors here to pull. And now, if I fill this in, we should be able to go directly down with this. I should definitely run it the other way first before I do any of that. So we will go right to here. I think that will work out just fine in our favor. Yep, that should do it. And so if I hook up you there and you there, there's of course a pretty drastic drop in the pressure because, you know, we have a lot of blocks to compensate for. Let me grab my camouflage camouflage applicator. We will choose to try to mimic this block. Yeah, I didn't think that was going to work, so we'll do this block instead, there and there. That's a pretty clean setup. That is way better than what we had going for us before this. Now, there is only one setup that is, or one problem left to address, and that is the heat. So we can do a couple of things about that. We can probably just take the heat sinks from this mod and slap them on the front. Like, that is an acceptable thing to do. It's not ideal because it probably won't keep up very well. So what I like to do is use the vortex tubes that we've been using already to do that exact thing. So let's grab 2 more of these. And so while this does in fact consume power, I wish there was a way to rotate these. Oh well. No, actually this is the right way to rotate this. Never mind. So while these do in fact consume pressure, you know, it's fine, in my opinion at least, to have them set up like this. Let's go for some of the cheaper tubing. I wonder if there's a way to disconnect this connection. There is. Perfect. Okay then. Right. These are not the right tier. I don't know what I was thinking with that. Enough with the fire. Enough with the fire. We got it. We're good. So what I can do is just disconnect these here instead. And so now, why did you make a noise but not do a thing? So now we should be doing really well on temperature, which is going to make these run even more efficiently. So I'm going to put 6 of these speed upgrades in each of them. And that should drastically help with our pressure production. But it is not. Okay, so this may be too much. I have a different idea then. I have a different idea. Let me do that real quick. All right, so I've come up with the perfect compromise, it seems. And so these are running really, really fast, and I love this. Their temperature's getting up there a little bit, but it's definitely better than it could be, and it will reduce over time. So the idea here is they're using heat pipe to transmit the heat across into the vortex tubes. And so there are just 2 vortex tubes rather than 6. And of course, the vortex tube is going out to a heat sink. Ideally, we probably have these doing an even better job because your vortex tube is going to overheat at some point as well. You can see that the temperature is actually the problem here. That's why it's not able to keep up. So what we could do is we could take multiples of these using the heat pipes here and hook them up using a handful of heat sinks on this end. And that will help distribute the heat really evenly and really efficiently and effectively, and also in such a way that we don't get burned all the time. So you can see that immediately dropped the north temperature, which is this side, down to 106 Celsius, and that's going to bring all these down as well. So that, I think, is going to be the setup that we go with. I think this is probably the most effective at dissipating heat, which is the only thing that you really have to consider with these liquid generators. So let's go ahead and put these down like so. Again, we'll do the same thing here. We'll do these 3 sides. And that should be the setup. That should do it. So this is also going to start cooling down to like 80, 81. You can see 84, 85 over here. Definitely doing a lot better. And we're full, right? We're at 19.5. And so these are just going to be really quick at keeping that at the 19 mark. And I think really the biggest thing that it's trying to figure out right now is the pressure. This guy, the pressure cooker, not really. Our pressure chamber here, maybe. Not really sure why we're hemorrhaging except for the vacuum tubes. Actually, yeah, the vortex are going to do its own little thing until these get down to a temperature. But honestly, that's not... I don't see that to be that big of a deal, personally. I think this is just fine. I'll have to keep an eye on the biodiesel production, but I think we're doing okay. And our current biodiesel setup is kind of an auxiliary power anyway, which is how it probably should be in most countries. It's not, unfortunately, but it'd be very nice if it was. But yeah, now we can take our camouflage applicator and just cover this up here. And now there's really not much way to know. You can't cover up the vortex tubes, but I could cover up these if I really wanted to. I don't personally see a point. I think that the heat tubes look just fine. And our redstone signaling is definitely working. You can see that's going to kind of jump up and down every now and then. But these are just going to be very, very, very efficient as compared to this setup over here. Speaking of this setup, I'm going to clean it up, and then we're going to wrap up this episode with some auto smelting. Really quickly, there is one thing that I've really been wanting to do, and that is turn this into an interface over here. So let's go ahead and do that. This is our rocket supply, and we already have a refined storage network access over here anyways. It's like not that far away, so I'd be curious to see how terribly difficult this would be to do. But yeah, we've got our refined storage access here and there. I think we could probably just sneak this back here, honestly, just kind of make this slightly messier, but also just very effective. Let's go and grab a stone brick cover made out of a iron nugget, like so. And if I put you here, remember that these have to have a little slot in them, unfortunately. Something that applied energistics do not, but that's not really a complaint. It's just a notice. So the interface will be like that, and then we can tell you, I'll get the rocket box out of here really quickly. If I get these out and put them away, I'm really surprised. Oh wait, yeah, yeah, that's fair. The pipe itself is still there, so that makes sense. We will put the interface, I don't know, let's just put it up here. I think that makes a lot of sense. And then we can do that, and we'll tell you, hey, interface, I want you to export for me rockets. And so we'll say export a stack of rockets. And as soon as I get this connected on the other side, because that definitely left me wondering for a moment, it's going to provide a stack of rockets from our system. And so now, if we just tell you that you can extract from the interface, it's going to keep me supplied with those rockets like usual, except now they're going to be coming from our network. So if I accidentally get extra rockets, I can just put them right back in the network, and when it comes time later, it'll all kind of level itself out and take care of itself completely on its own. And I don't have to come back here manually, which was why we had that door there in the first place. So that definitely saves some time. Anyways, back to cleaning up. For those of you who were triggered by my mistake, because I was triggered by my mistake, I noticed that this was not symmetrically built when I built it. For some reason, this side here was 3 blocks out from the diesel generator. The side was only 2. I centered it out to that third, and then I recentered everything. Remember, we also have extra engines now for our steam boiler, so I'm using those. I put those, rotated them around to this side, and so now what I have is this really nifty setup with 11 alternators. I'm just going to keep putting alternators down for now because we can afford it. I mean, that's what, 88,000 stress units out of the 100 and something thousand that we can afford in theory. That's approximately 88. It probably rounds up to closer to 96 with all the residuals and stuff from the 2000s. But yeah, we have 130, so we could probably fit easily, I would say, a good 4 more maybe. But yeah, this setup is just ridiculous. I mean, at this point we're at well over 10,000, almost closer to 15,000 RF per tick just from alternators alone, and we don't even use nearly that much. So this diesel generator is going to continue to just be backup power in case something goes wrong, in case I overstress the system, in case the charcoal breaks. It's a good backup to have, but sort of like in real life, the best backup for like this, think of this as a generator in a home, right? Like think of this as what happens when your main power from the grid goes down. But that's just how we're going to use it for now. Eventually, we'll probably oversimplify a lot of this and go to alternate power means as well. And at some point, we're probably going to draw enough that we're going to need to use that as well. But right now, we're just not. We're using only a handful of machines here and there, and I'm trying to keep it nice and respectful to our system as far as like our overall usage goes. So I don't really know that there's any reason for us to need it for now, but we'll see. I mean, you know, what happens, happens. I'm not terribly concerned about it. Anyways, at this point, we need to get up that auto smelting setup. It shouldn't be too terribly difficult. And what I'm probably going to do is, since it is such a low priority system, is we can set it up over here. Maybe even along this back wall here, because I have no plans for this back wall whatsoever. So we can just move these over here and put it here. And I think a little while ago I made those lab furnaces. They are going to work fine, but unfortunately they have to be still powered by an external heat source. However, all of these dusts have one thing in common, and that is they can all be blasted. So we're probably going to set up a handful of blast furnaces. We have 2. I bet I could get a 3rd really quickly. Smooth glowstone. That's interesting. Anyways, let's grab a piece of stone to smelt down into another piece of stone. Of course, I could just use a redstone furnace. That is like an obvious answer here, something I could easily do, but I just don't want to. I really want to keep things nice and unique and simple on their own right as well. So I'm trying to just kind of vary things up a little bit here. You know, maybe we do just do the 2 now that I think about it. We'll play with it. There's the heaters, the external heaters. External heaters. What did I do with mine? Where did mine go? Did I use them for blast furnace preheaters? Maybe. So I decided to go for something a little bit different here. Rather than using the blast furnaces, I think we'll use create here. And what we can do is actually set up something that I've not done before. I've got an electric motor ready and raring to go here. I want to make sure that everything is moving in the right direction. That looks to do it. I could speed it up a little bit, but I really don't see any point. Maybe up to 48. But there's, again, not too terribly much point in doing this. I already have access to my refined storage network right behind here, which makes this extra convenient. Let me grab that back, please. Thank you, thank you. So what we can do is we can have an exporter right here. Let's go ahead and get a chest. Actually, let's get a barrel. I've been using a lot of chests lately, and chests have a custom tile entity render on them that I would prefer to not have. And then let's go back to create and get a chute or a funnel. Let's get a brass funnel. Let's do that. And that way this will pull out really quickly. Oops, that is not at all what I meant to do. Let's grab a cable. And that export bus. Or exporter. Sorry, I've been playing a lot of all the mods to this guy over on Twitch, and so it's been kind of confusing for me because I'm using applied energistics over there, but refined storage here. So anyways, anything that we want to export, we'll export there, which is not too terribly difficult to get to if we needed to do that at a later time. Just do that, and that's pretty straightforward. And then we can use a similar setup to what we did before with our old depot smelting setup that I had set up that was really, really convenient. We could do something very, very akin to that. However, it will be slightly different this time around because what we would do in this case is we'll have our fans set up with their lava sources like so. But we need to tell it how to distinguish between items that it can and cannot pick up. So what we'll do is we'll have a dimensional chest, which we now can auto-craft. Hooray, hooray. At the end here, doing all of our importing, unless we just wanted to get an importer, really. We could probably just do that as easily and save. I don't want to overuse dimensional chests, but they are just so dang convenient. It's kind of hard to deny. Let's go ahead and pull this back a block here. Grab another barrel. Like so. And then we'll just put it down right here with another funnel on it. Now the difference here is this funnel is going to pull out anything, but we need to know if it has been smelted by the time it gets here. In fact, we actually need to put a... we probably need to move it forward a block now that I think of it. I don't know if that would work. I mean, that's not really that big of a deal, so we can do that. We'll just put you here, put you here. And so in theory, if I said, let's take an attribute filter and let's grab an ingot of iron. And if we put the ingot in here as a reference item, you can see like, hey, there's a bunch of different things that we can take a look at here. We can say, is this an item that has a tag for any of these ingots or beacon payments, or was in the creative group miscellaneous, or was from the mod Minecraft, which isn't a mod? That works. There's another one though, however, and that is can be smelted. What I want is the opposite of that. So we'll do this, we'll hit plus, but we're going to hit the add opposite attribute. And so what we'll do is cannot be smelted and hit OK. And so now anything that gets stuck here has to wait until it can't be smelted, in theory. I don't know that that's going to get smelted that far back. So why don't we, yeah, that's not going to work that far back. That's kind of what I was afraid of, but not a big deal. We can extend this back out the way that I had it because I liked that more anyways. Put our little brass casing down. I liked the symmetry more. And we'll put just a generic boy there, and we'll just take another one of the funnels, no, not funnels, tunnels. Take another brass tunnel and use one of those here. And just for the symmetry, because I'm really into the symmetry right now, I can't really explain that all too very well, just kind of the state of mind that I've had a lot lately for building. I am going to put a funnel on this side as well. Does this do anything? No, not at all. That one is not going to do a thing. It's just going to sit there and do simple work, do dumb work. This guy, however, will do the blocking of uncooked items. So now, if I were to take a bunch of dust, let's start with copper because we have a ton of it. And let's go ahead and grab some speed upgrades as well. Let's grab 4 of these. I don't think this should take too terribly long, but I'll go ahead and do that. And let's grab a stack upgrade as well, now that I think of it. These will be forced to sit here until smelted. And so this will smelt 3 things at a time, or 3 stacks at a time, once we get multiple items on at once. And so you can see that our filtering system here is working delightfully, and that there's not really any issue here at all. Let's go ahead and grab that importer, hook that up to the side here, so you can see we've got our copper ingots. We'll just grab that right there and start retrieving our ingots in their finalized form there, and I will make sure to clean this up a tiny bit. So let's grab our speed and our stack upgrades. I don't really need all these speed upgrades, but what I can do is just undo that one, and then we'll put the last 2 over here so that it's at least a little bit faster, and maybe grab another stack because it seems to be pretty slow even then. So now we should be getting whole stacks of copper dust at once. So that is perfect. So we're going to have to do this for all of our resources, unfortunately. Not really a big deal, but definitely something that will be slightly annoying if they were to ever change. Fortunately, they don't in this pack. We already know what materials we're going to have, and it's just going to be these 9 materials here. So we'll grab those. And that will make up the 9 that we're always going to have. So let's just go ahead and shift click those all in. And we're going to see a bunch of stuff just start to fly on in from our HE system, from our refined storage system. And that is that. So we should be good to go now. You'll see that everything here is just going to wait and process until it can no longer be smelted, which would be when it becomes an ingot, because in this pack, ingots cannot be smelted again. That doesn't really make sense. If you needed to melt down an ingot, you'd need more than just a furnace. So yeah, basically that is that. I can clean this up a little bit as we go with some Panzer glass or some nicer glass, depending. I don't really know if Panzer glass is going to be too dark. I don't want to overdo it with Panzer glass either, but I do think that might actually just be perfect. I think that just looks fine. Nice. And so now that leaves us with all the space up here that we can still use if we wanted to. This doesn't take up a lot of space physically, and it's just super clean. I'm really happy with that. You can see sort of what happens as these start to process as well. But now we will no longer have excess dust just sitting around in our system anymore. So I am very thrilled with that. The only concern is if we ever needed a dust to craft something, we would need to make sure that that did not happen, and that might be a little bit of a difficult around that as well. We can start to go through and replace the exporter from our system with just like a direct line from the crusher right there, straight down and over, which we probably should have done in the first place, but I didn't think about it, honestly. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this yet again long episode, but we did so much housekeeping and so much cleanup that's been on my mind, and I'm super happy with our new fluid compressor setting. The setup that we did over here. This looks super clean, works incredibly well. We're constantly keeping that pressure up, and I am really in love with all the stuff we've done in this world. Of course, you know that already probably. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you very soon in the next episode. Take care.